A woman walks through Gatwick Airport, cradling a tiny baby in her arms. Moments later, she is arrested on suspicion of child trafficking. What unfolds next is a story of deception, international intrigue, and a baby whose true origins may never be known. Let me take you through this story, alright? Hello everyone, welcome back again to my channel. My name is Wemimo and I'm also known as Start Mom of 5 and also known as TMO5 Kanduko. If you are new to my channel, welcome, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for always coming back, and you all are the real MVP because I do not take you guys for granted at all. So with that being said, let me talk you through this story of our Nigerian sister. All right, so last summer a woman was taken into custody at Gatwick Airport after arriving from Nigeria with a very young infant girl. The woman, who had been living in West Yorkshire with her spouse and children, and prior to her departure from the UK to Africa, Nigeria to be precise, she informed her general practitioner that she was expecting a baby, pregnant. This statement was false. Actually, yes, it was false. Upon Susan's return, approximately a month later with the infant baby girl, she was apprehended on the grounds of suspected trafficking. Kilagbe, Kilaju. This case, which is the second that the BBC has reported on through the family court in recent months, actually highlights what experts describe as a concerning trend of infants potentially being brought to the UK in not so legal way. Some originating from so-called baby factories in Nigeria. They now call them baby farm now, not factories anymore. So this woman, referred to as Susan, is originally from Nigeria but has been residing in England since June of 2023, accompanied by her husband and children. So I believe she has other children. So, being a care worker with the right to remain in Britain, Susan asserted that she was pregnant. However, medical scans and blood tests indicated otherwise. Instead, they uncovered that Susan had a tumor, which actually raised concerns among doctors about the possibility of it being cancerous. Despite this, Susan declined any form of treatment. Susan actually maintained that her previous pregnancies, I don't know how many children she has before, had not been detectable on scans, stating to her employer, in quote, "My babies are always hidden." She claimed that she had been pregnant for as long as 30 months with her other children. Guys, let me know your thought and opinion in regards to that assertion, because me, I am not understanding it. In early June of 2024, Susan traveled to Nigeria, expressing her desire to give birth there, and also subsequently reached out to a local hospital here in Britain to inform them that she had delivered a baby. Normally, you are required to do that, outside of the UK. This situation alarmed doctors, prompting them to notify Children's Services. And you don't want to have any business with those organizations. Upon Susan returning to the UK with her baby girl, whom they have named Eleanor, Susan was detained and arrested by the Sussex police here in the UK. You'll be wondering, what was happening? That was my question as well. She was subsequently released on bail, and the lead police department confirmed that there is currently no ongoing investigation in regards to her arrest. That was what was told. Following Susan's arrest, along with her husband and baby Eleanor, they underwent DNA testing. Eleanor was placed with foster carers just to be sure that she is safe pending their investigation. In quotes, "When the result indicates that I am Eleanor's mother, I expect her to be returned to me immediately." That was what Susan said when this test was being carried out. She was so confident that she is the mother of the baby. However, the test revealed that the baby had no genetic connection to either Susan or her husband. Susan went on to request a second test, which yielded the same outcome anyway, prompting her to alter her narrative. Susan started to change her story. Susan explained that she undergone IVF treatment prior to relocating to Britain in 2023 using a donor egg and sperm, which she claimed accounted for the negative DNA results. Guys, let me know, is this possible? Susan also presented a letter from a Nigerian hospital signed by the medical doctor confirming that she gave birth there in that hospital, along with documentation from another clinic regarding the IVF treatment to support her assertions. This is getting serious, okay? Susan additionally supplied photographs and videos that she claimed depicted her being in the labor ward of a Nigerian hospital. No faces were shown in the images, and one of the images actually featured a NUDE image of a woman with a placenta positioned between her legs with an umbilical cord still connected to it. So she's trying to prove that she is the mother, or she was the mother. The shocking details was that someone had delivered a baby, but that person was not Susan. So who delivered baby Eleanor, you would ask, right? The family court in Leeds commissioned a social worker called Henrietta Coker to conduct an investigation into how baby Eleanor was brought about. Miss Coker, who specializes in providing expert reports for family courts in similar cases, she actually has a long while experience. Okay, she has about 30 years of experience as a social worker. She received her training in Britain and also worked in frontline child protection in London before relocating to Africa. This case is getting deeper. Okay, Miss Coker proceeded to the medical center where Susan alleged she had undergone IVF treatment. However, there was no documentation whatsoever indicating that Susan actually received any treatment there. The staff informed her that the letter was a forgery. Oluwole screaming in their face. This is not joke. I'm not joking, guys, okay? Subsequently, she visited the location where Susan claimed to have given birth to the baby. It was a dilapidated 3-bedroom flat characterized by stained walls, and dirty carpets. That was where Susan said she had the baby. At this location, Miss Coker encountered 3 young teenage girls seated in the reception area wearing nurses' uniforms. Miss Coker went on to request to speak with the matron and was guided into the kitchen where a teenage girl was, eating rice, according to Miss Coker, okay? Miss Coker subsequently located the physician who had authored a letter indicating that Susan had delivered a baby at that location. He confirmed, in quotes, indeed, someone had given birth there, but who was that person? I still don't know. So Miss Coker presented him with a photograph of Susan. However, the doctor stated that it was not Susan. This story is getting thicker and deeper, okay? In quote, impersonation of individuals is prevalent in this region, especially in Nigeria, he informed Miss Coker, implying that Susan may have acquired the baby. This article actually reminds me of the movie on Netflix titled Baby Farm. You really need to go watch that movie. It's a Nigerian movie, and I think Rita Dominic featured in that movie as well. So the phenomenon of baby farming is widely recognized in West Africa. Miss Coker subsequently informed the court, over the past 5 years, Nigerian authorities have closed down at least 200 illegal baby factories, Miss Coker stated. I'm sure you guys can agree with me. Some of these things are happening. Some of these facilities housed young girls who had been abducted, had a PED, and compelled to give birth repeatedly. That is what that Baby Farm movie on Netflix actually showcased. Occasionally, these girls are freed, Miss Coker remarked, but at other times, they either perish during childbirth or are unalived and buried on the premises of the organization. This is just a summary of that movie I was telling you about, so you need to watch it on Netflix. It remains uncertain where baby Eleanor may have originated from, although the doctor conveyed to Miss Coker is believed that she was likely surrendered voluntarily. By whom? From where? Miss Coker was unable to determine the identity of Eleanor's biological parents, which means that baby Eleanor might not know where she originated from. She provided testimony to the family court in Leeds in March of this year, 2025, accompanied by Susan, her spouse, her employer, and a senior obstetrician. This case is getting deeper. During a previous hearing, the judge requested an examination of Susan's phone. Investigators went on to discover messages that Susan had sent to a contact she saved in her address book as Mom OFT Lagos Baby. I don't know what that meant. I don't know. Approximately 4 weeks prior to the purported date of birth, Susan sent a text message that stated, In quote, "Good afternoon, ma. I have not seen the hospital items." On the same day, Mom OFT Lagos Baby replied to Susan's message, and she replied, "Delivery drug is 3.4 M. In quote, "Hospital bill 170k. If those amounts are assumed to be in Nigerian naira, they would approximately be £1,700 and £885 respectively, as noted by the family court judge recorder William Tyler Casey. The local authority indicated that the messages were configured to automatic self-destruct mode. Guy, what kind of mode is that? I've never used it before. Let me know in the comment section. And asserted that they constituted evidence of an agreement to acquire a baby. This investigation was actually deep. Susan actually attempted to clarify the messages during the court proceedings. The recorder remarked that our efforts were difficult to follow and impossible to accept, that the story were just, our narrative was just not making sense. They just were not going to accept it. So the recorder Tyler, serving as a deputy judge of the High Court, determined that Susan had staged a scene which she inaccurately claimed demonstrated her giving birth to baby Eleanor in Nigeria. Tyler claimed that Susan and her husband had presented a fundamental lie to justify how Eleanor came to be in their custody, and had also endeavored to deceive authorities with fraudulent documentations. You guys know how Oluwole happens in Nigeria. So this recorder also noted that both of them had inflicted significant emotional and psychological harm on young baby Eleanor. So in early July this year, the BBC was present at the final hearing regarding baby Eleanor's case, which was actually conducted remotely. So that was July of this year, 2025. I think it was a few days ago actually. In one small square of the team's meeting, the team observed Susan and her husband sitting upright. They were hardly moving and intently focused on the statements made by the advocates. They wished for baby Eleanor to be returned to them. Their legal representatives indicated that their own children were flourishing, that their own children that they have before baby Eleanor were doing fine, that they desired to provide baby Eleanor with the same affection and support. But the thing is, who gave birth to baby Eleanor? Susan's spouse regarded Eleanor as, in quote, an essential component of their family structure. It's not as if these people have not had children before, they have their own children. So Vicky Ospul, who represented the child's guardian, a social worker from the Independent Children and Family Child Advisory Service, contested this. They don't joke with babies that you can't prove is yours. She asserted that the couple, in quote, remained untruthful regarding Eleanor's genuine beginnings and the circumstances that led to her being in their custody. They were not able to explain how and whereabout they came with the baby. The judge mandated that baby Eleanor be placed for adoption and also issued a declaration of non-parentage. The judge acknowledged the suffering this would have inflicted on Susan and her spouse, but they already have other children. Why is this particular child important to them? Let me know in the comment section, guys. The barrister representing the local authority also informed the court that the infant is very well adjusted with her foster caregiver, engaging in community activities and receiving medical care. Upon Eleanor's adoption, Eleanor will acquire a new identity and British citizenship, yet she may never ever discover the identities of her biological parents. This is sad. I wish they were just being truthful on how they got this baby. Eleanor's narrative parallels that of Lucy, who was actually brought into Manchester Hospital in year 2023 by a man claiming to be her father. So, as for Susan and her husband, both of them will remain in Britain, her future uncertain, but one question lingers. Who are the real parents of Eleanor? And will she ever find out the truth? Let me know what you think about this story in the comment section. So I would like to give you guys a warning or advice based on this story. Okay, number one, be aware of rise in international child trafficking. This case highlights how vulnerable children, often born in exploitative conditions, can end up in illegal adoptions or worse. Also, always verify and question the circumstances around international adoptions or surrogacies, especially in regions known for baby factories. I know some people are looking to have babies, but be very, very careful. Advice and warning number 2: know the red flags when you hear about stories like this. So if you hear about babies being offered privately or informally for adoption, be very, very careful. Number 2: if there's large cash for medical bills tied to childbirth arrangement, you should be sure that it is not real. So be very, very careful. If you find out that documents from clinics or hospitals that cannot be verified, this could be signs of trafficking or fraud. So you need to be very, very careful as you go about trying to have a baby. Number 3: understand the consequences. Okay, participating in such arrangements, even unknowingly, can lead to criminal charges, loss of parental rights, and severe emotional harm to the child. You might not know this, but this will only showcase in the child's life later on in future. If you are in doubt of what information you're being given, in the UK, you can contact the Modern Slavery Helpline. I'm going to put the number on the screen for you here so you can, in other countries, report to local authorities or child protection services. I don't know how this works in Nigeria, if you notice, but if you're anywhere in diaspora, please, report. If you suspect a child may have been trafficked, you can contact your local child protection services or anti-trafficking hotlines immediately. Okay, together we can protect vulnerable children from exploitation. And I'm sure you will agree with me. What do you think about this story of Susan and baby Eleanor and her family? Do you think they arrived at the right decision for baby Eleanor? Right now, baby Eleanor is safe, but out there, hundreds, maybe thousands of children aren't. Some will never know their real names, their real parents, or the truth of how they came into this world. And that is shocking. I can't even imagine being in that situation. And here is the terrifying part. Behind every forged document, every stage hospital photo, there's a darker system exploiting the most vulnerable. So here's a question I want you to ask yourself. If you saw a woman at an airport cradling a newborn baby, would you know if that baby was hers? Would anyone know? Let me know your thoughts and opinion in the comment section, and share this video because it's crazy. The more people who know, the fewer children who will disappear without a trace. And I shall see you in another video. All right, bye for now.